What's up, Stick Library? Pat Petrillo back here with you. And now we're going to do some more groove things with you, combining some ghost noting techniques, some bass drum techniques. Again, all excerpt from my DVD book, Hands, Grooves, and Fills, which is available on this website. So, here we go. Let's talk about what I like to call a groovalution, or the evolution of a groove. Many times a producer will ask me, or I will be asked, either by an artist or a producer, to create a groove for a song. And ultimately, you're going to be in that same position. So you have to be in a position to offer that artist or that producer a few different groove options for them. And they will put you through your paces. They'll say, no, I don't like that. Well, I do like that. Well, maybe not that note. So you have to get used to that, and you have to accept the fact that you are there to serve the music and to serve the artist and the producer. Give them what they want. In order for you to give them what they want, you have to be armed with a few tools on how to shape a groove and how to create a groove. So you don't just give them the same thing over and over, because they'll be very specific. And so I'm going to take you through some paces now and kind of show you an evolution of a groove of one of my tracks from the book. And basically, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to play the track, and we're going to listen to the vibe of it, and we're going to kind of see what the music is saying. Is it saying heavy metal? Is it saying pop? Is it saying funk? Is it saying jazz? You know, put it in a generic style so that we can stick a groove with that right style. We're going to approach it with the right drumsticks, with the right cymbals, etc. And once we catch the vibe of that music, then we'll have a very good idea of how we're going to approach it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to listen for a little bit, and then I'm going to talk you through what I'm thinking in my brain and how I'm going to create this groove. And you play along with me. Here we go. Okay. Well, the first thing that jumps out at me is it's definitely not heavy metal. It's definitely not jazz. Could be kind of a pop thing. Definitely R&B. The 8th notes and the 16th notes are straight. They're not swung, so it's not really hip hop. I would call this feel pretty mellow. Maybe also known as neo soul. So I may want to approach this with a cross stick to get started. Okay? So the next thing I'm listening to is, what's the bass line doing? Okay, some 16th note syncopation. So what I may do now is play along with a cross stick and follow the bass drum. Okay, that works, I think. All right? So now, what I did was I heard the vibe of the music, and I put my bass drum with the bass line and started with a cross stick. Okay, so now, here comes Joe Producer. He gets on the intercom and the microphone. He says, okay, Pat, I kind of like that, but can you color the hi-hat for me a little bit? And I'll say, okay, I could do that. And also, can you make that cross stick sound a little bit fatter? Fatter. Okay, try this. Roll it. Okay, so hopefully I helped that producer out. I colored up the hi-hat a little bit, added some 16th notes like this. Put some open hi-hats in there. And then in order to make that cross stick sound a little fatter, almost like a finger snap, when I'm playing my cross stick, I'm going to play it like a flam. So I'm going to hit the stick up here right before it comes down. Another way you could do it is hit it after the rim. I like to hit the stick before the rim because it feels like I'm pushing down into the drum and I can really aim for that backbeat. So what I did was this. So we've evolved the groove a little bit already. We colored the beat up with the cross stick. Okay, so now, what if the engineer says, okay, that's good. Now, you know what? I don't really like the cross stick anymore. Just go ahead and play me the snare regular on 2 and 4, but keep the hi-hat color. Okay, let's try that. Here's what that would sound like. All right, now we're really evolving this groove, right? We started with the hi-hat color, went to the ride cymbal, using the same concepts from the previous lesson. That would be quarter on the hi-hat, ride, and on the bell. Same ideas, mixing it up, adding some color to the groove. But notice I haven't really added any ghost notes yet, because I know what the producer's about to say. Can you color in a few ghost notes here and there? And I'll say, okay, let's color some ghost notes. That means he wants me to drop in some little extra snare drum notes around that groove. Okay? So I'm going to follow the bass drum pattern, and I'm going to add some ghost notes. Still coloring the hi-hat, okay? Adding some things to it. Here we go. All right. We definitely added a few ghost notes. I think you probably heard that diddle in the middle concept from before. So now, what if the producer says to you, okay, but you know, I don't really want every 2 and 4. Can you leave out beat 4? Can I leave out beat 4? Of course I can leave out beat 4. But now, this takes a little bit of coordination and some remembering on your part. What is it that you played? Okay? And got to remember, because he's going to say, like, I like what you got. We're really close. But now I'd like you just take out beat 4 on the snare. Okay? So that's your challenge. Same ghost notes, leaving off beat 4. Okay? Here we go. All right, so variations, ghost notes, no snare on 4. What else could this producer possibly want from me? Well, you know, now beat 4 sounds a little empty. Can you add one more little accent, but not on beat 4? Anywhere but beat 4, anywhere around the general vicinity of beat 4. Okay, well that helps. Let's see, I only have a couple of choices. So he wants me to play that snare groove, color up my hi-hat, play some ghost notes. Don't play beat 4, but play one of the notes around beat 4 on an accent. Wow, could be a little challenging. So here's what I came up with for this song, and this is the beat that's in the book. Okay, so here's how I evolved that groove and came up with this particular pattern. Okay, you're going to hear all of those elements worked into this groove. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate it with the track first. Then when I come back with you, I'll break it down slower. And you're going to hear the groove variations on top of this ghost note groove as well. All right, here we go. All right, so we just took that groove and we did a groovalution to it. We took it from step A, your basic cross stick. We fattened up the cross stick, we colored up the hi-hat, we added some ghost notes, we took off a snare on B4, but we stuck some other accents in there. Okay, so here's how that beat goes in slow motion. So I hope you can see all the elements that we were talking about thus far. That is the bass drum technique. We saw a lot of lifting of that bass drum from the knee, leaving the beater on the head playing nice and strong. The 16th notes are nice and articulate. We saw on the snare drum, we had the whip motion. We had the ghost notes dropping in nice and soft. Okay, we had some colorful flavor accents on the hi-hat. So now, the final piece of this puzzle is, let's take all of these parts and make the whole groove evolve. Let's do the complete groovalution. We'll start with the cross stick, we'll fatten it up, and we'll take it all the way up, all the variations, up until this final beat, all in one song in 1 minute and 10 seconds, whatever it may be. All right, so here we go. There you have it, the evolution of a groove. And basically, what you have to be prepared to do is give that engineer, give that producer what they want to hear when they want to hear it. So adding ghost notes and color to a groove is not always the notes that you do play, it's the notes you don't play that matter. And if you feel as if there's too many ghost notes or there's not enough ghost notes, ultimately your job is to provide them with as many options as possible. So he may only want you to play a couple of ghost notes here or there or take some in and out. And you also have to be aware that as you're playing a groove, am I actually ghosting? Sometimes you could be playing a beat and the stick is just kind of dropping in there and they're ghosting, but you're not really thinking about that you're ghosting. It's just kind of happening on its own. You got to be aware of that, because an engineer or somebody will hear that and say, hey, you hear those extra little ghost notes in there? And you could be like, what ghost notes? You know, you don't want to be like that. You want to always be in control and know that you're playing ghost notes and that you mean to play them, because they can call you on it pretty quickly because they got good ears. Okay, so I hope that helped you evolve a groove, how to listen to a style of music, and how to put the whole piece of the puzzle together. And I'll see you next lesson on the stick library. See you in a minute.